Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review presents Folks Talkin Sports. I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me is Andy Yanez of Gallery Sports and Willy Gibson from WTG Sports in Ohio. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing good, Kris. I think it's ready that we get into the show. A jam-packed Sunday with a lot of news breaking pertaining to the Houston area, and Will's getting ready to play those New York Knicks.
And he's got a lot of info to share
There's
as well.
a lot going on.
A lot going on. Where to start? Let me see. Well, I'm going to get this big news out of the way first because it's business, and we are business as well as sports entertainment. Going forward, this is the first show of many. This edition of Folks Talkin Sports is the first show of many under the Houston Roundball Review umbrella that will also air on the BS3 network on Roku. You can catch it, yes, Roku. It will air on there going forward. This show, Folks Talkin Sports, Andy's shows, plural. We're going to get Will do some shows from Buckeye Land as well. We'll be part of the BS3 network. If you don't have BS3, go to that Roku and just download it, bs3network.com. In orbit, Brandon Thomas, Tony M., thank you for chiming in. Brandon, you got talked about last night, man. Mr. 33 wins with the Rockets. He stuck with it throughout. He never wavered. Even when it was obvious that we're not going to get 33, but yes, the Rockets finished 22-60, and we'll be moving in another direction. They're not bringing back Silas to coach them. We can talk about that. A lot to discuss here. First things first. Well, if you don't mind, allow me a moment to pat myself on the back. Andy, you do the same for yourself as well. For those who watch Let's Rage Coogs, and we discussed a little bit last Sunday on Folks Talkin Sports pertaining to the Houston Cougars men's basketball team. We told y'all the sky was not falling. We told y'all when Tramon Mark decided to transfer and go somewhere else, now it's Arkansas, that the coaching staff at Houston would be okay, would bring in talent. We told y'all not to worry. Saturday, the first shoe dropped when Damian Dunn from Temple, 6'5" guard, announced he was coming to Houston. Today, this afternoon, Sunday, the second shoe dropped when LJ Cryer announced he was transferring to Houston from Baylor. Andy, you got it. What do you want to add?
Well, what's there to add? Kris, you were talking about Damian Dunn. I think that one's probably the name that kind of fell more under the radar when it comes to at least media buzz. I didn't really hear much about him coming in for a visit. Obviously, LJ Cryer, the former Baylor Bear, was the one that got much more buzz surrounding just in terms of where he's coming from, being familiar with the Big 12, and being one of one of the top five players in the transfer portal heading into Sunday.
Yeah,
right. So, no, but like you said, the Houston Cougars landed two big guards to replace the voids being left by the two outgoing guards. Obviously, you mentioned Tramon Mark, who chose to transfer last week, and of course, Marcus Sasser is going to be heading towards the NBA draft this offseason. But big gets, especially when it comes to LJ Cryer. Houston got a first-hand experience of how lethal Damian Dunn is, and he was a big reason why Temple upset Houston in that January meeting at the Fertitta Center earlier this past season. But in terms of LJ Cryer, of course, we know what he's able to do when it comes from a shooting standpoint. Over 40% from three this past season for the Baylor Bears, and that's something that the Houston Cougars could really use. It's something that will add an extra layer of versatility. And think about it, they still have Emmanuel Sharp coming back, who was their sharpshooter this season. That didn't mean to do that, no pun intended on that with Emmanuel, but
that's all right.
just really, really a lot of depth, and most importantly, what they added, experience. Because Damian Dunn, I know he still has 2 years of eligibility left, but his first season was going back to 2019-20. He didn't really get to play much that year due to injury, but he's been around the college landscape. The same goes with Cryer. And the interesting thing about Cryer too, he's going to stay through the NBA draft process, but it's obviously expected that he'll be back for Houston in 23-24.
And LJ is a 42.5% shooter from three. Percentage-wise, he's a better shooter than Marcus Sasser from three, percentage-wise. So he fills that spot. Damian Dunn, 6'5" guard, about 200 pounds. Out of the 6 games he played against Houston, he did not have great numbers against Houston. Everybody else, he did pretty well. He was solid. He's a solid player, durable, smart. He's a Coug. I'm not sure if I mentioned it to Andy a few times, but every time I saw the Cougs play Temple, I saw Temple play, I kept thinking to myself, Damian Dunn looks like a Cougar type player. And lo and behold, he's from Kinston, North Carolina. He's from the North Carolina connection, that pipeline. So relationships there go back to Kelvin Sampson and Kelvin Sampson's days back in Carolina. So I'd heard about it, that Damian, he kept it on the radar. He did not post it on social media as far as I saw, but I knew he was in town. Him and LJ pretty much in Houston Friday and Saturday. And I got a kick out of it when I saw some folks, Will. You know how I feel about some folks, national folks, saying, well, Damian Dunn's going to go to Auburn or go somewhere else. And I'm like, okay. And then hours later, Damian Dunn posts on social media, I'm committed to Houston. So, okay. Got those two.
And the thing, what I was going to add, the thing about both players, they committed shortly after their visits with Houston.
Yes.
Which, just to add, that in and of itself says a lot.
And Will, we're going to go continue the college theme. You got some college news to share up there in Buckeye Land, don't you?
Yeah. The transfer portal was open down up in this way as well. Jamison Battle, 6'7", swing player, guard forward from Minnesota, has committed to Ohio State for the 23-24 season, 5th year senior. So he feels a number of needs. One, veteran leadership. Two, he's a shooter. He shoots 35% from three, shoots 7 threes per game. Now,
that's a gunner.
Yeah. He shoots 7 threes a game. Now, the significance of that is the leader for Ohio State this year, Sean McNeil, shot 4.5 per game. Ohio State shot 18.6 as a team this year. So to bring in somebody that's shooting 7 himself, that's a veteran that's going to score. I mean, it fills several needs for Chris Holtman going into the season. So indirectly, Buckeye news as well. Caleb Love committed to Michigan over the weekend as well. So Big Ten news. That's something that the Ohio State fan base has to pay attention to. But Jamison Battle is the first of this season's transfer portal participants to commit to Ohio State.
And of all these transfers we've mentioned so far on this edition of Folks Talking Sports, they're veterans. They are veterans. And I think that's going to be something to look for regarding impact on high school seniors. Will more programs lean toward getting veterans from the portal instead of signing kids out of high school? So we shall see. LJ Cryer was on the Baylor title team. Damian Dunn, 3 years at Temple. Well, he's more than that. He's redshirted a year, and he's going to have a COVID year and another year. He's graduating from Temple next month. Jamison Battle, veteran, 5th year, you said, from Minnesota. So another intra-conference transfer. So LJ is going from Baylor to Houston. Houston going to the Big 12. We joined that in July. This is the new era of not quite pro basketball, because it's not really college basketball and what those purists Has been that for a long time. but you can say semi-pro or not quite pro basketball. But this is the way it is today and for the foreseeable future. Shout out to Terry Agent _ 299 from New Zealand.
Hey,
Yes, New Zealand. That's right. Roundball Review is global, so keep that in mind as well. But yes, big news there in the transfer portal for the Coogs, the Buckeyes, and I think, Andy, you said it, and Teron Mark, wish him well in Arkansas. Don't wish him any ill will. We're just not going to spend much time on him like we did when he was here in Houston. If the Cougs play Arkansas, we can talk about that another Folks Talking Sports. But Andy, with the announcement of joining the BS3 network, there is the potential in due time that this show and other shows will be available Tuesday through Friday in a live format on the BS3 network from 12 to 1 Central, or 1 to 2 Eastern. So we have that in our back pocket going forward. At platforms, you've seen me on the lunch break on Thursdays, on Throwback Thursday. That kind of became my day with AJ Jones. It was the Thursday time slot. Well, if we continue to progress like we grow, sponsorship, hint, hint, support the show, support the Houston Roundball Review, support Andy and Will, support us with the sports stickers. You can show support with us like that here on the show, contribute that way. But also, if you want to sponsor the shows on our different platforms, because we're on Roku going forward, Twitter, you see Folks Talk Sports, and of course on YouTube here as you're watching live on the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. So there are different ways to reach us. And you see Andy's Twitter account. I'm going to post my email address as well. But there are different ways to reach out to us. kgardner@thehrr.com for sponsorship opportunities, because with our joining the BS3 network family, our audience is growing. We're going to reach more people, more eyeballs. That helps you sponsors. So it's going to be a win-win for everybody involved. And Andy, being the young genius that he is, already has ideas for content going forward that he will share in the near future. If you want to share some of that now, some of your ideas, feel free, young man. The floor is yours.
No, Chris, nothing in regards to potential ideas yet, but I just want to reiterate, obviously, of course, it is very exciting just to continue to grow and have that amplifier is kind of the perfect way to the perfect word to use to catapult to a new audience. Hopefully, like you said, it's the beginning of an exciting time for the plethora of shows. But what's kind of been lost, sorry, I'm going to segue into still UH, but what's kind of been lost, and we have to talk about it if it's for a little bit. Obviously, men's basketball stole the headlines with the additions of Damian, Dunn, and LJ Cryer, but football team, they had a bit of a disaster this past Friday when it came to the spring football game. Now, granted, some of it is stuff you can't control when it comes to the weather. Now, fans will argue the way they handled that basically the acts they could not control was not the best. Now, long story short, the spring football game for the Houston Cougars football team was scheduled to take place on Friday at roughly 7 p.m. That's when the game in and of itself would have started. And because of the weather in the area, essentially rain, thunderstorms that were forecasted for the evening of Friday, they chose to cancel the spring game altogether. But they still went ahead with the practice. They do have the indoor facility for football on campus at the University of Houston. They chose to have a closed practice and just not allow any fans or even media to attend. And they went about it that way. Now, I believe that their spring sessions are closing. I don't know if they officially close on Monday or they might have a few practices left. But the final spring availability for Houston Cougars football will culminate with a 12 p.m. session with head coach Dana Holgerson. And That's pretty much it. They will not reschedule a spring football game. They will not have any other events until, I'm guessing, closer to the season. And that left a bad taste in the mouth in a lot of Houston Cougar fans and supporters that they won't even get a chance to see the current iteration of the team in the spring.
Will, what do you think about that from outside in Ohio looking in? When you heard what Andy just said, what do you think about that?
All I will say is Ohio State has had spring games in the rain.
In the rain? What? Will? What? In the rain?
In the rain?
In the elements?
In the weather? About that?
You can do that?
Yeah.
That's. Now, and it was forecasted. Really, the rain was forecasted come rain overnight, Thursday night, Friday morning, and be done around noontime. That was pretty much the forecast.
That was my question. At 7 p.m. on Friday, what was the weather? Real time.
Yeah, it was raining, depending on where you were. I don't know if it was raining at TDSU Stadium.
Yeah, it was gloomy. It wasn't thunderstorms, anything that was projected. The thunderstorms were forecasted to be done basically by Friday morning and at the latest lunchtime. So not 7 o'clock. But even as a colleague stated, they could have moved it indoor to the practice facility. They could have done that. I mean, let's be real. Andy, Will, Wanda, Tony, folks who follow us discussing the Coogs, it's not like there are going to be thousands of folks attending anyway. So they could have fit in a few hundred in the indoor facility.
And I heard there's precedent for this because I heard there was a spring game at West Virginia a few years back that was canceled. Not necessarily for weather, but I think the common denominator in that is that the former head coach of West Virginia is the current head coach in Houston. So there's precedent for spring games being canceled at the last minute. I'll just leave that there.
Andy, care to comment on that?
No comment to this point. I'd be curious to hear what they say tomorrow. Like I said, that's going to be the final spring availability for Houston. But I think the biggest, and obvious, like I said at the beginning when I mentioned it, there was a lot of disappointment with Houston fans, and in particular, again, so Houston made one post, kind of basically promoting upcoming season tickets for the 2023 season, and of course their biggest marketing tools to get people to buy season tickets is it's the first inaugural year in the Big 12. Now, the biggest reason why there's a lot of disappointment with how things turned out with the spring game is because it was an opportunity. It was the first opportunity, and there was excitement building up because it was the first opportunity that even us as media and fans in general, we're going to get a chance to see the two quarterbacks in Lucas Coley and Donovan Smith, who, regardless of who wins that quarterback battle by the time September rolls around and the first game of the season is here, they're two players that the fans have never really seen. I know Lucas Coley got a little bit of snaps, but really he, outside of a few handoffs and I think less than 5 throws overall in a few games, we haven't really gotten to seeing him. And then, of course, Donovan Smith transferring over from Texas Tech in the offseason. That's really what a lot of the excitement was. A lot of the new additions across the offense and across defense, and it just didn't materialize in anything and didn't even get pushed back, or at the very least kind of salvage it, whether it be like a meet and greet with the players or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see if Hogerson tucks on it on Monday, and if they did have a plan B, what were kind of the conversations of like behind that decision process to cancel the spring game, and would it have been possible to either get people into the indoor training facility or at least push back or at least do some type of event? What kind of were the backup options, for lack of a better word, that they could have employed, and they just didn't? And again, they did practice, it just didn't close, and I think that they still had a few recruits that were going to be at the spring game. I know a few people posted they had been invited to the close practice. So in the grand scheme of things, the biggest kind of people that were screwed by it were the fans and even media that didn't get to see any of the the stuff that would have been from at the end of the day at the spring game. It's not like you were going to get the biggest takeaways from it, but it would have been a start. And again, it would have been a nice way to build up some type of excitement specifically about your program, much more so than, hey, we're gonna play Big 12 schedule next season.
Bottom line to me is it's a missed opportunity to get the fans excited. Another reason to be excited for joining the Big 12. And see that right there, a Cougar Pride event was tied into that spring practice, which was also canceled. This is just
you're a fumble in the bag, man.
Exactly. It's just if it were a chance to make a good first impression on a new fan, new audience, new people, it's a failure, and you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And football is an outdoor sport. They could have clearly this could have been handled so much better. It's bad enough they didn't really begin promoting it until a week prior to Friday.
Right.
So that didn't help. I think they decided to cancel it Thursday morning.
It's Thursday morning, and Ryan of GoCoogs.com, who's a friend of the Potsdamer Jam and Let's Reach Coogs post-game shows and channel, he brought it up, or I believe it was him. Someone brought it up where it's spring in Houston, even though TDCU Stadium is an outdoor arena or stadium. There should be a backup plan for an April shower that is pretty common at this time of the year in the city of Houston.
Imagine that.
Agreed. And you just go back to what Will said about West Virginia canceling a spring game under the same coach who's not coaching the Cougars. So it's just another example, indicator that Dana drops the ball when it comes to marketing promotion. He just doesn't get it. He just does not get it.
But I guess my question would be, why is he allowed to? Why is he
with something like that should be something that should be above him and all.
It should. It should. But Will, now I'm going to go here because it all ties together with the administration at the University of Houston for athletics. Ronald Huey. Coach, how you doing? Ran off 5 players. 5 players. Let's talk about this. One of the 5, Will, Andy, Sports Report, Wanda, Keenan, was the second best player on the team, and she happened to win the 6th Player of the Year award in the American Athletic Conference. The second best player on the team, 6th Player of the Year in the entire conference, is now at SMU. Okay, is now at SMU, and she's happy to be at SMU. Trust me, she is happy. She opened my eyes in our discussion on Friday. She is happier to be at SMU than Houston. Coach Huey, 0 trips to the NCAA tournament. We don't believe he'll make the NCAA tournament this first year in the Big 12. So that'd make a nice round number of 10 straight years of 0 trips to the NCAA tournament. He's still in charge. Why is he still in charge? Who's his boss? And then who's the boss of that boss to allow this stuff to continue to fester for this damn long? Andy, Will, you go ahead.
I defer to the young fella.
Oh, well, what I was going to say, Kris, can you also mention one of the other players that had left too that was a freshman?
Oh, yes. Freshman player did not play at all this year. Signed 1 freshman, Will. 1 freshman. Didn't play her. She's gone. Why'd you bring her in here? Why was she signed? Okay. And then you can say, well, Kris, it's his team, it's his roster. He can do what he wants to with it. Sure. He's bringing in top-tier talent for the Big 12. He should.
Is he?
But bringing in a young lady who shoots less than 40% from the floor, including 30.8 from three, does not sound like an upgrade to me. Well, although technically, Andy, she might be an upgrade even at 30% from three, because when the team's talking 25% at three-point shooter, I guess 30 is an upgrade. Still not a quality three-point shooter. She played, what was it I said? 30 games this past season at the worst team in the ACC and went to the line 29 times. So not quite one free throw attempt per game. And she's going to be a benefit and help to you in the Big 12, even though the Big 12 is kind of on a decline in terms of nationally relevant for championship contention. Really? And this is still okay. All right. Just think about that. Yeah, Wanda, that's what happened. Dana's still in charge of football, and he will be, because why? Will, who's one of his good buddies?
Tillman.
And Tillman is owner of the Rockets. So let's shift gears to the news of the day, other news of the day.
Nice segue.
Of Folks Talking Sports here. The Rockets announced, well, not the Rockets didn't announce, but news reports, Chronicle, National Writers, etc., that the Rockets will not bring back Stephen Silas to coach the team. He had a team option on the 4th year. 3 years in, he's gone. We're not surprised. It was to be expected. But where do you stand on this, Will? Because some fans were tired of, I guess, in their eyes, excuses that, Stephen Silas was hired to coach James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Russ wanted out. Even though Russ asked for Stephen Silas, wanted out pretty soon. And those fans say, well, it's 3 years, man. He should have had a time to adapt and adjust. Yeah, he didn't get a chance to coach Russ and James. He got dealt a bad hand. He should have made the most of it, done better with it. He didn't do that. Time for him to go. What do you say to those that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I probably wouldn't hang my hat too much anymore on I came here to coach Russ and James, but at the same time, look at what he was given. And with all due respect to the current roster, I mean, there's young players. At no time, okay, they got John Wall, but then he was told not to play John Wall. So you get a veteran that could come in here and help, and then you're told, no, we don't want him to help. So what? Yes, he's the head coach. Yes, at the end of the day, the wins and losses are on his name. But I think the eyes should go up to the front office.
Yes, because the front office were the decision makers to sit John Wall.
Exactly.
It was the front office who did that.
Exactly. It's the front office who failed to get him an upgrade of veteran talent. I mean, Eric Gordon. How long did it take him to trade Eric Gordon? And what did they bring back? The buyout of Danny Green? I mean, you got last year, was it Dennis Schroeder, and you bought him out?
Yep.
I mean, what veteran did he ever have in his 3 years here? And you guys know better than me, and I'm being honest. What veteran did he ever have to coach?
That they
DJ Augustine.
I was going to say it. DJ Augustine. They didn't bring it back this year until the last 2-3 weeks.
Almost at the end of the season.
Because the Rockets we're talking Boban, great team, great guy, great team player, but he wasn't a role player. No veterans within an 8-9-man rotation.
Yeah.
The front office was talking out of both sides of their mouth. We want you to develop the young talent. We want you to improve the players. We're not going to give you too many veteran players to play, but then also we need veterans on the team to help the young players get better. Okay, so you're not going to give me veterans to play,
right.
But this team needs veterans to help young guys get better.
Right. But don't play them. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a veteran, but don't play him because then we might win too many games. So, all right.
No, he was dealt. Steven Silas was dealt a bad hand. That it was just a no-win scenario for him. I mean, especially think of the first year that he was here in 2020, right after they traded Harden. I mean, that team was a bunch of jigsaw puzzle pieces that just did not fit. And
hold on, I forgot it. This is true. After the trade, the Rockets won 6 of 7, and then Christian Wood got injured. They missed 20 games, whatever, and they lost them all. They fell apart. That's when everything went to hell, right? Went to trash when Christian Wood got injured because he became their best player. And Dallas Mavericks fans, y'all, we're going to talk about that in a second too. Christian Wood became the Rockets' best player. And what does that say? Okay, when Christian Wood is your best player. They lost him to injury. They had nobody else talented enough to fill his role. So everything went to pot then. And then you get John Wall. Yeah, John, you're playing too well, John. Yeah. See, we got different objectives, John. We want to improve but not win. So lead the guys by example from the bench or from the locker room or from Miami. That's what it ended up being. So, and this last thing, I don't know if anybody, Jamon, Tony, had a chance to read the article in The Athletic from Shams, Kelly Eco, and I forgot the other person, Sam Amick, where they referenced there was a practice in, I think, 21. Well, GM Rafael Stone interjected himself into practice to show players or suggest to players to do things differently.
Wow.
So Coach Silas had to say, off to the side, that can't happen anymore, Rafael. So it didn't happen anymore. But that gives you an indication of how involved Rafael was. So if he did not have any more on-court interaction, he just interjected himself in other ways, i.e., no more John Wall, i.e., you shouldn't play these certain guys, the Eric Gordon, come on.
So based on that, reports, they think they're going to get a Nick Nurse or a Ime Udoka or the other names I've heard.
The big-time names. Yes, the big-time names. If you're a big-time coach, why would you want to come to an organization where the GM butts in that much?
No, you don't.
So, there we go. That's the question that the Rockets have to figure out. Because, obviously, they did not win. Well, see, this is where the Rockets front office have to really be honest. They won more games. It's only 2, but they won more games this year than last year. Down the stretch, they began to play better. You saw the young guys improve. And they competed. They played better. You saw improvement in Jabari Smith, who is no longer looks like a bust. Well, go figure. Shaq can just give him a chance. He'll figure it out. Oh, imagine that. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. missed 20 games and they struggled because he's their best playmaker and facilitator. He comes back. They play better. He plays better. More in control, less turnovers. He scored better. You started to see signs that the team was improving. Defense, overall, still not very good. Clearly, not very good. LP got better defensively the last few weeks. So they got in a little bit. Corey, I'll come to your question in just a second. So they started to improve. They improved enough win total. Well, only 2 wins. But it's still not good enough. We all knew, Stephen knew he was going to be fired. And I say this as well. Back to the culture, folks. If the culture was so bad in the locker room, and clearly the players heard the rumbles that Stephen Silas' job was in jeopardy, they all knew it. They still played hard for him. And they still started playing better and winning games for him. So the culture must not have been as crappy as those national folks led people to think.
Yep.
So I'm going to get to Corey's question because here, right, we're just going to talk Coogs. I got some info for you, Corey. Well, some info. But here are some candidates, and I did a YouTube short on this as well. But 18 names that the Chronicles, the Rockets beat writer, one of the best in the biz, Jonathan Fagan, have as 18 potential candidates for the Rockets' next head coach.
18, wow.
In alphabetical order, some are really pie in the sky. So some head coaches, assistant coaches, and really less likely guys, okay? Kenny Atkinson.
Okay.
James Borrego. Scott Brooks.
Okay.
Rockets hero Sam Cassell. At some point, he's going to get a shot.
Yep.
Mike D'Antoni.
Again?
One of those. Adrian Griffin.
Yep.
Becky Hammond. I think at some point she'll get a shot. Not here, but at some point. Dave Yeager.
Okay.
Rex Kalamian. Charles Lee. John Lucas. Very doubtful. I mean, why would you keep a man from the staff you just fired? But anyway, Chris Quinn. Another Kelvin Sampson. No. Terry Stotts. Ime Udoka. Well, Jeff Van Gundy.
Again?
It's brought up every single cycle.
Again, David Vanterpool. Somebody will give him a shot at some point. With somebody.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Frank Vogel.
Man. All right. So of that, I hear Sammy Cassell and Dave Yeager. Now, you didn't want Doc Rivers, but you want his top two assistants. Oh, okay.
So they want someone with experience. But again, that coach has to make it clear. Rafael, don't come to practice. Keep your mind out of my practice. You deal with personnel. I'm dealing with the players. Okay? You're not going to do to me what you did to Steven Silas. So we'll see how that works with some of these experienced head coaches. You know, Terry Stotts may want to come back and might be okay with that arrangement. You know, who knows? A younger head coach. Hey, my first head coaching job, I'm okay with that, Rafael. Maybe. But if they want an experienced head coach like Nick Nurse, oh, hell no. Rafael, no. Don't even try, Rafael. Don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. You call my agent, Rafael, I'm owed $8 million. Okay? My $8 million means you don't come to my practices. That's what my $8 million gets me. You can't do that? Click. So we shall see, but how it all plays out, I'm kind of curious how it all works. We'll discuss it here on Folks Talkin Sports on Let's Talk Houston Rockets. We have, going back to another bit of good news, we got the additional platform on the BS3 network, which is available on Roku. Change the way you watch TV. Get that app, BS3, BS3, the number 3, BS3 network on Roku, BS3.com. So yes, going forward, put it out there. You might see me and Andy, Will at some point, every day of the week. You might get tired of seeing our handsome faces, but why would you get tired of seeing our handsome faces?
No, never that. Never that.
Giving you some knowledge and insight and opinions. Back to Corey Miller's question. Let me see. Pull it back up. Regarding the Coogs, any more additions via the portal? Will and Andy and audience, as of today, April 9th, no. The Coogs are done. As of today, April 9th. Does not mean anything is possible, but the core has been established. You might see a player or two decide to leave. And then if that were to happen, a spot would open up and then the Cougs would go fill that spot. Andy, I think you agree with me. And I think the audience, the Coug fans agree as well. We believe the Cougs can use another veteran big man.
Big.
But
yeah,
in the case of young man Darius Bowser, they got Darius in August, right? August, it was late. I want to say around August. So if that scenario opens up, that might happen again. But that's in August. We're in April. So there's still an opportunity for a veteran big. You see how the summer sessions go. And if the staff has some concerns, questions about,
Yeah. He joined August 4th. That's when they officially made the announcement.
we're too young up front. This isn't working. We need another big body up front to help him practice. And come August, there you go.
And this year's team will be doing the international tour, correct?
I think it's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah. Coach Sampson, he hinted at it of the destination, but he didn't tell us where that would be. So yeah, so that would be another chance, an opportunity to build chemistry and see what you got against international competition. So, but Corey, going forward, as of right now, the Cougs are done via the portal. All right, we got names. Some wise citizens likes his wish list right there. Dick Nurse, Ime, Frank Vogel. Going to bring defense. Will, you got this one. What do you say?
Man, oh my gosh. Who's that? Kenan? Thank you. You know where I stand on Coach Mark Jackson. I don't understand it. I know we talked about it. I know the reports. I know what's been said, and also know what's true. What's true, not it's true. I know what's true.
Mm-hmm.
He has to get another shot. It's looking less and less likely the years that pass, but he changed the game. And let's call it what it is. Steph Curry was an injured player, possibly on his last legs, and he came in and said, "You shoot the ball." Klay Thompson, you shoot the ball, and now everybody's shooting the ball. Let alone reviving those two gentlemen's careers, and by the way, creating a core along with Draymond Green of 4 championship-winning teams. Yeah.
And Kenny Smith agrees with you.
Yep.
I think a lot of former players agree with you. But to add to the head scratching, the Detroit Pistons, Dwayne Casey announced he's done as a coach and moving into the front office.
Yeah.
The list of candidates that James L. Edwards III, the Pistons beat writer for The Athletic, Mark Jackson was not among that list.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, I think the overlap between his list and Fagan was Udoka and Charles Lee. I think that was it. He had
no Sammy Cassell, really.
7 or 8, wow. But yeah, it was just those two. I think that's right. It was just those two in common. And of course, as long as Dwayne Casey's in the front office, Nick Nurse is not going to Detroit. That is not happening. So, but maybe at some point, Mark Jackson, but it doesn't seem to be anytime soon. But
man,
it would make sense with this iteration of the Rockets, you would think. I mean, young talent, a presence that, again, he has that experience in the background. But you kind of wonder because it always, he never gets mentioned as often in a lot of these head coaching candidates. I mean, he hasn't had a head coaching job since he left the Warriors, and it's about to be close to a decade since his last head coaching job.
Because he was in the mix for the Kings job.
Yep.
And then they went, right?
Yep. But then there was also some trepidation on his part because he would have been replacing his guy, Mike Malone.
Right.
Mike Malone was his top assistant, so he didn't want to necessarily step on those toes. He got a courtesy interview with the Knicks a few years back, and that's been about it. He was in the mix with the Lakers with the Frank Vogel cycle.
Yeah,
he was in the mix with the Lakers, but and I think that was a Clutch Sports piece because he is represented by Rich Paul.
Right.
But yeah, that's about it.
A decade. It's almost going to be a decade. You would figure that at least one team would take a shot, considering that after he left, they launched the Warriors. But
we'll see him in these final few moments of this action-packed, info-packed edition of Folks Talkin Sports here on the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube and on Folks Talk Sports Twitter. Let's back up. Let's talk about the women's Final Four and Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. I find it. What was y'all's reaction to everything about it? This, I didn't realize that Caitlin Clark still does that. She does it most of the season, apparently, part of her Iowa.
Yeah.
Part of her Iowa promo.
Yes.
Photo shoot. Angel Reese. It's just it to me. It's an indication of you saw who does not watch women's basketball.
Yep.
Okay, because if you saw it, you watched it throughout the season. That's part of Caitlin Clark's thing. Angel Reese, part of her whole brand, is doing things like that. It's as if women can't trash talk. That does happen, right? I mean, if you watch them play, that's what they do.
Yep.
And clearly, dating myself, y'all never saw, and still to this day don't see Diana Taurasi play. Diana Taurasi talks more trash and backs it up time and time again. She did it at UConn. She did it in high school. She did it at UConn. She does it in the WNBA. This is part of what women's players do and have done.
Yep.
So, but nearly 10 million viewers tuned in for the Iowa LSU game. Most ever watched women's college basketball game. It's great for the sport. The eyeballs, y'all need to watch the games more. And lo and behold, the WNBA draft is tomorrow evening.
Yep.
I don't know enough about it to beyond Aaliyah Boston and a few others who's in it. I know there's nobody from Houston in it, like the Cougars or Rice Owls. I know that, but that was a cheap shot. But at some point, someday in the future, maybe when Andy's 51 years old, the Houston Cougars will have a WNBA draft prospect on the women's side. Well, maybe. How old are you again, Andy? 30, 21, 22?
23.
23. So 28 years. But you got 28 years, Will, to see if the Houston Cougars have a WNBA prospect again since Chandy Jones and Sancho Little. Wow. Whew, that's a long time. All right. Getting here, Sam Cassell's Brandon wish list for the Rockets. Wise citizen Sam Cassell as well. We'll see. This is the key right here. Tony M wants the new coach to be held to the same standard as Silas was.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you would imagine, depending on who, regardless of who's the new coach that they bring in, all the pressure shifts to the front office, and it's got to be on Rafael Stone.
yes, and that's one thing.
It has to be.
That the Athletic touched on for sure. That with the heat's on Rafael Stone now, the coaching hire, personnel moves, bring in some veterans, using the cap space. Rockets have almost $60 million in cap room this summer.
Oh, got to do it.
So got to upgrade the roster they're going to upgrade the roster with some veterans. I guess these veterans, it'll be okay to win games going forward. Well, of course, there's one veteran, Tony, Brandon, Jamon, Will, Andy, James Harden. James Harden saying hi. What do y'all say about that one?
Nothing.
Andy, what do you say about that? We didn't ask you about it, I think. James Harden as a Rocket again.
It makes, I guess you can't say it makes no sense. You know what it comes across? If I'm going to use an analogy, I'm going to pull my best Colin Cowherd, but geez, the Rockets are going to look like one of those partners that they just can't get over their ex. Got to get back, got to reunite with your first love, even though I guess technically it hasn't worked for Harden too, because he's been gone to a few different teams, but at some point, Houston's identity, I know it's been a decade now. I think now that's starting to sink in that 2013 was 10 years ago, but it's been 10 years. They went through the James Harden phase of the franchise era. If you bring Harden back, what is that signifying? Like,
okay, Jamon,
does that get over you the top?
That's what it signifies to Jamon. Rockets have let James Harden use them enough.
he's the reason they got in the mess after they traded away Chris Paul for Westbrook, and then Westbrook left, and then they just left him high and dry again. So at some point, you gotta move on. You gotta find a new identity outside of him. Is Twitter running the Rockets organization? That's a great point,
That's a
Tony.
great question. That is a great question.
You can't go back to James Harden, especially. You got KPJ, you got Jalen Green. You'd imagine. I saw something where the Rockets have a 26% chance to get the sixth pick in the draft, or something like that, because they won.
And actually, the Spurs and Rockets have the same record, and I think the Spurs, in terms of head-to-head, are now ahead of the Rockets. So the Rockets could finish 7th in the lottery because I think the Spurs had a worse division record or something like that, because they split 2-2 head-to-head in the 4 games in the regular season, and the Spurs had a worse division record. I think that's how it'll work out between them. Go ahead, Will.
Can I say something? I just want to let you know how happy I am not to have to think and project those scenarios anymore. I just wanted to say that because it's been a while, but I don't have to do that this year. I'm so happy.
And the Cavs are the 4th seed,
right? Seed, home court advantage.
The 4th seed, and most importantly, Will, they finally are on to the next chapter outside of LeBron James.
But they have been.
Finally,
that's again, Chris, the national reporters, the inner workings, the team. They have been for a while, 4 years now.
But here we go. Why Citizen? They're doing a coin flip next week. There you go. So that'll be the Spurs and Rockets right there. Rockets bring back James Harden. They'll win some more games. They'll sell some more tickets. They're not going to compete for a championship in the next 2-3 years of James Harden. And to me, and folks can say James done a better job with the youngsters in Philly. Okay. But if you bring James in here, he's taking minutes from somebody.
Depending on who they draft.
Depending on who they draft. KPJ, bring KPJ off the bench. You want James Harden and Jalen Green to be your starting backcourt. Brandon, he's with the depends on the lottery pick, and I still maintain it. Brandon's one of the few, because we talked about this Saturday night on Let's Talk Houston Rockets. He does not believe, Brandon, I think it's you, Brandon F. He does not believe the Rockets need Victor Wembanyama. So, and there's a few other fans, and that's even some colleagues who believe the Rockets don't need Victor Wembanyama. Man, he's talking about a generational talent. Rockets don't have that on their roster. Neither does Detroit, neither does Spurs. Talk about a generational talent. So we'll see. May 16th is the lottery. We'll see what happens. In these final few minutes, let's discuss the Dallas Mavericks. And also we'll talk about Rudy Gobert and Minnesota. Yeah. 2 teams, 2 franchises that swung the fence for trades. Those trades didn't look too good now. Mavs got Kyrie. Mavs tanked Friday, and I think they did today.
And today.
What are your thoughts on the Mavs just really outright tanking to improve their chances to not lose this year's first round pick to the Knicks?
I mean, they named the difference between what they did and what Portland did. Yeah, they possibly could have gone to the play-in game and lost. And then it's a guarantee that pick is gone because you're no longer in the top. It's a top 10 protected first round pick.
Right.
You go to the play-in, you're not. That top 10 protection is gone at that point for all intents and purposes. So the issue is that garbage trade Mark Cuban tried to pull off. Kyrie was not. I don't remember when I saw it happen. They were 4th in the West when they traded for Kyrie Irving. And they traded everybody to get Kyrie Irving. Dorian Finney-Smith. Spencer Dinwiddie. Those are your defensive players for Kyrie and Luka, who plays negative 4,080 defense. I mean, so That's the problem. Not the taking and the sitting of the players Friday and today. That's the problem.
Yeah. Roster construction.
Yeah.
Minnesota,
the
same
pieces
thing.
didn't fit. And going back to last season, even when they landed Christian Wood from the Rockets, that wasn't the step they needed to make, in my opinion. They didn't need another scorer. I know they lost Jalen Brunson, but what they needed was to kind of, for me, from a big perspective, I feel like they needed an athletic big that could have kind of been an anchor in the paint, that could have been a defensive presence. And all season long, they never had that. And then, like Will said, when they traded for Kyrie Irving, it was kind of like a Hail Mary attempt to try to have enough star power to carry over a hump that just didn't come together, didn't come to fruition.
And Randall, comment on. I'll get Andy and Will's comments on it. If the Rockets win the lottery and get Victor is going to start. Victor, Jabari, KJ Martin. Jabari will play the 5. Victor won't play 5 a lot, if at all. Hey, that young man is skilled enough. We have to see what he can do against American NBA players. Yes. He's got freakishly long arms. He can recover, help side defense, lateral quickness, all those things. We'll see how that all plays out. He will play in the NBA. He will start in the NBA. They'll figure it out, what's best suited for him. And in that scenario, Alperen Sengun would come off the bench because, Rockets may want to see if Victor could play at small forward in certain matchups. And figure it out. When you got talent, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
The Cavs with some of their jumbo lineups, they figured it out. The pieces have to complement each other. They do. They'll figure it out. It's much better to work from a position of strength and say, well, we got too much of this. And then we have none of that. Instead of, we ain't got nothing. We have nothing anywhere.
Yep.
So May 16th, that will be the day when a lot of franchises will celebrate or cry in their beer. and we'll discuss it. Doc Kavir, how you doing? Doc's going to be possibly joining our feature endeavor as well on the BS3 network. Rudy Gobert threw a punch at slow-mo. Wow, y'all saw the clip.
Yep.
Got sent home. Sent home at
halftime? Yep.
Because it happened in the first half.
Yep.
They play
the Lakers. They play the Lakers on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And oh man, you think okay? Do y'all believe Minnesota will play Rudy in that game?
No. If they play Rudy Gobert in that game, their front office is a joke. Period. You can't have him swing on a player in the huddle and then say, but you know what? It's the playoffs. We traded 4 first-round picks to get you. Okay. No, he can't play. And if I want to go hot take right now, he can't play in Minnesota again.
Okay, I'm just reading now. This is about 45 minutes ago. Woj tweeted, and I'm sure the Timberwolves beat writers as well have discussed this and tweeted it. And we're all grown here, folks. Okay, so I'm not trying to
that's what he called him.
With profanity.
That's what he called him. Yep.
Slow-mo said to Rudy, I won't say it.
Yeah.
Shut the F up. I'll say the B word. I'll say
it's Roku.
Shut the F up, bitch. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Rudy didn't like it. And then the reply is Rudy sent an apologetic text to Slow-mo. Kyle Anderson, if you don't know the nickname Slow-mo.
Yeah, I was helping. I was like, help. I knew it was Kyle Anderson, but I didn't look at the Slow-mo.
And Rudy said, quote, "We'll speak about it and move on. We're grown men." So at the time, you were offended. He told you to shut the F up.
Yeah.
But now we're going to speak about it because we're grown men. Okay.
Nah.
The emotions get to you. Heat of the moment.
Hey, that wasn't the only one in the Clippers Suns game.
Oh, yeah.
Bones Highland and was it Miles or
Miles
Mason?
Plumbing.
Miles Plumbing. Yeah. They went at it a little bit. Pressure burst pipes, man. It's time of year.
Oh man. So we'll see. And that's what I want to pull up. Alan, Mr. Tran, thank you very much. You got my joke about the sky is not falling to Coug fans. But yep, because last Saturday I put out there while I was to get ready for the Final Four semifinals that Coug fans, the sky is not falling. The Cougs will be okay. Fast forward to this weekend, they brought in 2 talented players to fill a void, and so they're doing fine. All right, real quick, you find a few moments of Folks Talking Sports. The Houston Roundball Review presents Folks Talking Sports live on YouTube, live on Twitter at Folks Talk Sports, and will be at some point rebroadcast on Roku. Yes, on Roku on the BS3 network, and that will be another place to catch these shows, my shows, Andy's shows, our shows. Will gonna get some Buckeye love in there too. Will do that as well. So we're branching out, reaching a new audience, a growing audience. But here we go. Tuesday, play-in schedule is set. Hawks at the Heat, 6:30 Central. Sorry, Will.
Thank you.
7:30 Eastern. Who you got? Heat are the home team.
I got the Heat, man. Atlanta. I don't trust Trae Young.
All right.
I think what was Atlanta's record? Because all season long I saw that they were the epitome of a 500 team.
500, yeah, back and forth.
Yeah,
one game above or 500, like for 25 games in a row, something like that.
The amount of points they gave up and they scored was identical.
Oh, yeah,
it's crazy.
So who you got, Andy?
Oh, Miami, simple.
Lakers, Timberwolves.
The Lakers.
All right. Wednesday's play-in games. Bulls at Raptors.
Chicago.
I'm going to go with the Raptors. I'm going with Toronto.
All right. Then last one. OKC at the Pelicans.
OKC.
I agree. I go with Oklahoma City.
Why do y'all say that?
SGA.
Young. Yeah, they probably have the best player on the court. And I mean,
Brandon Ingram says hello.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but the Pelicans are short. They don't have, though they haven't had Zion for the past, few months.
Yeah, they got short-handed. He hasn't played since January.
I don't know. Just something about it tells me OKC will win.
Because OKC is the outlier to young teams in development, quick development. Yep. So, but salute to them. But they made the play-in because the Mavs cratered. I mean,
yeah, facts.
But they took advantage of it, so it wasn't not their fault the Mavs cratered. Hey. All right. Just real quick. First round, Saturday, first round, game 1. Brooklyn at Philly. Series starts.
Philadelphia.
Who you got in the series? Can Brooklyn shock the world?
No.
Will?
They can, but I like Embiid. Embiid's on a mission right now.
Yeah. Philly in 5. Might be in 4.
Will?
No, I'm not going to say 4.
Prediction. Your prediction.
No.
No. I'll go get prediction. Go ahead. I'm
going to Philly in 5. I'll give him 1.
Knicks and Cavs, Will.
Oh, wow. You going to do this to me?
Yeah, all you.
Can I go national and say I'm covering the series so I can't make a prediction?
Yeah,
okay, I'll do that.
No, you got to pick someone.
I'll do that. I'm covering it. I can't. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Andy, what you say? I'll take his place.
Quentin Grimes will lead New York past. No, I'm sorry. Wow. I think
doing this, man. Oh, wow.
I don't know. I think this will be a toss-up. I think this will be a good series, but honestly, I'll give the edge to Cleveland. I think Cleveland has it in 7. I think it'll be a good series. I
hope it's a good series for sure.
Yeah.
I think Cleveland overall has the more. I mean, they have Donovan Mitchell. I feel like they have top to bottom, the better talented rosters. I think they'll pull it out.
I'm going to go Cavs in 6. Since you picked 7, I don't want to be the same. So they're just being different as far as games. And then the last one, I'm kind of curious what y'all think Andy and Will, and then the folks chiming in and still watching us in the comment section on YouTube. Warriors and Kings. Warriors and Kings. Do y'all believe in Klay Thompson saying now the playoffs started, we're going to flip that switch and we're the best team in the West?
No.
No, I don't believe that. No.
It's you are what you have been for the course of the whole season. They've been inconsistent as heck, especially on the road. But I do think that they could upset Sacramento because of that youth factor. It's the first time that a lot of these players have ever been in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Sacramento would be a crazy environment. What is it? The first time they've hosted playoff games in 20 years, 17 years?
Yep.
But
the Kings
I don't
are
know.
the Kings. Yep.
I think Golden State could pull off. I'll say Golden State in 6. It reminds me of when wasn't it Golden State and Denver that played a while ago, or I think it was last year, 2 seasons ago, or something along the line. I think it's similar, and I think Golden State can upset them, but I don't think they'll go on a deep run and get back to the finals.
Okay, Will, what you say? Warriors or Kings?
Warriors.
How many?
6.
Man, all right. I have sorry, Coach Brown. I have zero confidence in what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm picking the Kings. Kings in 7. Kings in 7. I'm going to pick that. Yeah, Kings in 7. Nobody going to pick the Kings except folks in Sacramento, But
yeah,
why not? I'm going to pick De'Aaron Fox, winner of I forgot what year De'Aaron, because I'm getting old. Winner of the Guy V. Lewis Award.
2014.
That sounds about right. I'm picking the Kings. So yeah, why not? I wouldn't bet on it. I'm not going to put my money on it. I won't be shocked if the Warriors win the series, but I'm being like Peter Vesey did back in the day. Will, I'm just going to toss stuff out there and see if it sticks to the wall.
Wow, so, you went there. Hey, I'm going to say this. You know how, like, for regular season awards, their teams are in the playoffs, they usually do a pregame home court award presentation?
Yep.
I recommend Sacramento presents Mike Brown Coach of the Year in Game 2. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Facts, because that might be it.
That might be it. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. This is an action-packed show. We touched on probably more Rockets than we have in addition to Folks Talkin Sports, but a lot of it was warranted today with the news that Stephen Silas will not be back as the head coach. I'll have another few more Let's Talk Houston Rockets shows specifically later on. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, support the channel with any of those stickers, chats that are available on all the videos on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Andy's channel is getting closer and closer to that stage on YouTube where he can get.
I think we got 900 subs today. Might be just under.
So get those viewers up for him.
Away.
Oh yes, Effie, we did talk about LJ Cryer and Damian Dunn. We sure did. Touched on that in an earlier part of the show. 2 big gets for the Coogs. Damian Dunn, 6'5", 200 pounds. LJ Cryer, 3-point shooter, better percentage shooter than Marcus Sasser. Not the defender that Marcus Sasser was, but fills that 3-point threat void, need that the Cougs had. So it was big. It was not a surprise to us, not a surprise to me. Folks, this is now going to be a theme going forward. For me, Andy, Will, come to people who cover the teams, the local writers, beat writers. Don't live and die with those national folks. Okay? Come to the local writer. We need some love too. We need some shine. We need some support too. We're here with the teams much more often, more consistent than the national guys. They're national guys for a reason. because they cover everybody. So if you would have watched YouTube on Friday, Saturday, I hinted at Damian Dunn a couple days ago. I knew who was coming in. I didn't name him because he did not put out he was visiting here. I knew he was here. LJ Cryer. Just saying, we know local folks know the teams too. FV, the 4 is going to be Juwan Roberts. The 5, the plan is for the 5 to be Javier Francis. It's up to Javier to earn that in this summertime, the summer sessions. It's on him. But as of today, and to wrap it up, I'm going to give it to Will and Andy to close it out for them, how you can find them. As of today, the starting 5 will be, in my opinion, because I'm not Kelvin Sampson, Javier Francis, Juwan Roberts, Damian Dunn, LJ Cryer, and Jamal Shed. Yes, we know. I know Jamal and LJ are still have the name in the NBA draft for input, but they'll be back. So that is the 5 as of today. FE right now, yes, the Cougars, are done in the portal as of today. But look at the roster. Y'all are smart. You should see some spots and things aren't there. Okay. So trust me. Trust me on that one. They're not. Guys may leave and guys may, wow, where am I going to play? Well, if guys leave, then good luck to you, young man. Spots open up. That's how things go now. Stretch 4 coming to Houston. No. Right now, as of today, the Cougs are done. Young men have until May 15th to transfer and be immediately eligible with a new team. If that happens, other guys leave, then spots open up. But can I see Juwan developing into a 4? Yeah. We Andy and I saw him shoot outside shots all throughout the season. Never did it in games. So I think that would be the plan going forward for him. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching us. Keep in mind, we're soon going to have this show on a new platform, in addition to our current platforms of Twitter and YouTube. Going to be on Roku. Andy Yanez, the youngster of the group. How can people find you and keep up with you on social media?
For sure, they can follow me on Twitter at @Ayanez_5. Most importantly, also be sure to hit the subscribe button to the Pod Slamma Jamma YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Like I mentioned, we're just 100 more subscribers away from hitting that 1,000 milestone, and that's the big goal. So please be sure to do that as well. That's at Pod Slamma Jamma on YouTube at PAWDSLAMAJAMA.
Mr. Gibson, how about you, sir?
Thank you, sir. Always you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Will Gibson 7, Facebook Will Knows. And lastly, I'll end with this: if Jason Kidd is on his 3rd head coaching job in the NBA, there's no reason Mark Jackson can't have a 2nd.
Well put, sir. And I am Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Catch me on Twitter at THEHR Review. Houston Roundball Review also is on YouTube, as you guys know. Houston Roundball Review on TikTok and on Instagram. HoustonRoundballReview.com. Wrapping it up. Thank you very much, everybody, for your comments. Don't be a stranger. We'll continue providing content like this, Folks Talkin Sports, and other shows throughout spring, summer, fall, winter. Sponsors. Oh, one more thing. Sponsors as well. Interested in sponsoring. Audience is growing. Trust me, audience is growing. New platform on Roku, YouTube, Twitter. You have opportunities to advertise on our shows. So thank you very much for your comments. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, as always, to Andy and Will for their input. We appreciate it. And until next week, guys.
Yeah, Cavs play Saturday, so that should be good.
All right. Andy, good for you next week?
Most definitely.
All right. So until then, everyone, take care. Peace.